G'day everyone, I'm the Fizz, and today we're going to be taking a look into Metroid Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS family. I'd say Nintendo 3DS system, but there are like 10 different kinds of 3DSs. To be honest, this gaming handheld system breeds faster than rabbits. Nintendo should probably keep the rambunctious little things in separate cages in the future. Anyway, my first experience with the Metroid franchise was with the original Metroid on the good old-fashioned NES back when I was really young, probably 4 or 5 if I had to guess. Needless to say, I wasn't any good at the game, but someone who was good at it happened to be my dad. We'd sit down and I'd watch him play through the entire game in a few hours, and I'd be cheering him on the whole time, even though he already knew what he was doing, thanks to some walkthroughs he had saved from his youth. It was a great bonding experience, and it's only beaten out by the multiplayer in Sonic 2 for my favorite childhood memories. Now, I didn't play Metroid 2 Return of Samus until just a few years ago thanks to the 3DS eShop and the Virtual Console titles. While my experiences with that are a story from another day for another day, Metroid Samus Returns is a modern game for a modern day, and my experiences with it are a story meant to be told today. I couldn't decide whether my next video should be another Sonic video or a review on the new Metroid game, so I decided to post a poll on Google Plus to see what other people wanted. In the end, Samus, Queen of the Galaxy, beat out the Speedy Blue Hedgehog 2-1, which, speaking of which, you can also follow my Google Plus. It's the Fizz, so you guys can get in on the polls and any future content I'm planning on uploading on my YouTube videos. Just to let you know. A quick disclaimer. I have not beaten this game 100% by collecting all the extra assorted take expansions spread throughout the map. However, I have played through the entire main story to completion. The hardships and fun I had while doing so is what we'll be going into today. This review does have major spoilers for the game, so if you want to play it and experience it yourself for the first time, I'd suggest you do so before watching this. Also, I know the more scientifically accurate term for a Metroid's growth over time would be metamorphosis, but to save my breath and to make a reference to Pokemon, I will be referring to their growth as evolution. I won't spend too much time on the story since it's mostly a one-to-one comparison to the original on the Game Boy. However, to quickly summarize, shortly after defeating Mother Brain, leader of the Space Pirates and control of the Metroids and planet Zebes, Samus is sent to planet SR-388 by the Federation to exterminate the remaining Metroids that reside on the planet. Apparently, the Federation tried to do it themselves, but were brutally murdered by both the Metroids and the planet's inhabitants. Or perhaps they just fell off a rock and died from spontaneous cuts to the knees and elbows. One of them probably stubbed their toe as well and bitched like a little baby to the rest of the team until they killed him out of frustration. The Federation don't exactly have a reputation for being tough. Or smart for that matter. Samus traverses the twists and turns of the caves in SR-388, murdering the ever-evolving Metroids while making her way to the Queen. Along the way, she finds and obtains various abilities that make combat and exploration much more easy. Eventually, she exterminates all 40 Metroids and shows up to the Queen's nest. Upon getting closer to the Queen, Samus is ambushed by 10 Metroids still in their larva state. After killing the newly hatched Metroids, Samus confronts the Queen and gives it a rough slap on the butt before blowing it up from the inside with a power bomb. After the smoke clears and the guts slide off the wall, Samus discovers a Metroid egg about to hatch before her very eyes. Ready to destroy the newborn Metroid, whom I've affectionately named Squiggles, Samus arms her gun and charges it, ready to deal the final blow before pausing and taking a good long look at the infant. Samus lowers her weapons and takes Squiggles into her care, seeing as the baby seemed to see her as its mother. Samus begins to head back to her ship before being ambushed by Ridley the moment she gets there. Ridley snatches up Squiggles and Samus gives chase before beating his ass into the ground. Ridley wasn't done, however, as he jumped back into the fight and began to show Samus who is the one on top in this destructive relationship. Literally. Just before the parents' argument on who got custody during the weekends and holidays got too heated, Squiggles steps in and began to suck the life force from Ridley before quickly sharing the life with Samus. Afterwards, Samus and Squiggles began to beat the shit out of Ridley, showing him that Samus is a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Sorry, that got a bit fanfiction-y, didn't it? The story to this game is quick and to the point. Fortunately, the gameplay and progression mirrors this rather well. Almost too well, to be honest. The overworld map is split into multiple sections. You must locate a large circular Metroid DNA reader to determine how many Metroids you need to find and kill in the area before you're being allowed to proceed to the next. Upon doing so, this weird purple acid stuff will begin to drain, revealing more of the map that would lead you to an elevator and ultimately to the next section of the map. While exploring the map section by section, you will discover new abilities that will either allow you to find new areas or make previously difficult areas much more easy for you to traverse. They can also make combat easier depending on how you use them. Speaking of combat, this game pulls it off amazingly, while simultaneously not. Samus has gotten a new counterattack that can give you a few critical shots at an enemy when used correctly. I find this ability to be a bit controversial. On one side it makes combat simple, but on the other hand it makes it easy. Say for a select few enemies, you're able to counter and insta-kill any enemy that attacks you with one shot after using the counterattack. It's simple and effective, but it gets repetitive when you're facing the same enemy that you fought for the 100th time. This isn't to say the same for Metroids though. Using this ability to counter oncoming Metroid attacks can be the difference between life or death. Perfect segue to the next section. There are 40 Metroids throughout planet SR388 that you must search for and destroy. These act as mini-bosses who only get more and more tough the farther along you progress through the game. Every once in a while, depending on when and where you go, there may be a throwback Metroid, which is a previous evolution you fought before despite the fact that you fought stronger evolutions already. This doesn't take too much away from the game, and in actuality, it makes the world you're in feel more real. While locations you fight every Metroid in are always different, the moveset and weak points of the Metroids completely depend on what stage it is in its evolution. Obviously, the older and further along the Metroid is, the stronger and more difficult it is to defeat. There are bosses outside of the Metroids, but they are far and few between. The game definitely shines in its gameplay rather than its build-up to the end. One last controversial subject of the game would be the Aeon abilities. The abilities that are so important that they had to include almost every English valve in the title. The 4 abilities you get will help you in both combat and exploration, however they all use up a meter of Aeon energy. Defeating enemies can refill the meter to a degree, as well as specific refill stations. One gives you a shield that damages enemies, another increases your rate of fire with a powered up version of your currently equipped beam, and one that slows down time for easier counterattacks and avoiding falling through soft ground immediately. The 4th and last ability is a type of sonar. It reveals every breakable block within a small radius, as well as reveal any hidden rooms on the map below. Some people might find this ability to contradict the explorative, non-linear nature of the Metroid series, while others find it to be a godsend ability that not only makes learning the map easier, but also help Metroid games work in general. I'm personally indifferent on the subject. If you agree with the more hardcore Metroid fans on the ability, then simply don't use it. The game doesn't force you to use it under any circumstances, so if the ability doesn't tickle your fancy, just don't fucking use it. It's not that hard, guys. The game isn't broken if you use it, and the game isn't impossible to beat if you don't. It's completely optional. It's up to you. Don't complain, please. Just don't. It's just an ability. Well, I'll leave the discussion on the validity of Metroid being a non-linear styled game for a video another day. Metroid Samus Returns is an overall mostly linear game. While there is no order in which you can defeat the Metroids within a specific area, you are not allowed to leave that section of the map until you do. That's not to say that you can't backtrack, however, meaning that ultimately you beat each section in its predetermined order, unlike the famous Super Metroid. While I personally don't find this to be a bad thing, it may not resonate with those who were expecting the game to be more like its canonical sequel. There is one last thing I have yet to mention, simply because it's one of the best things in the game. After defeating the Queen Metroid and obtaining the Infant Metroid, you learn that squiggles can eat through an annoying crystal-like obstacle in the game. While the Infant was able to do this in the original Metroid 2, in this 3D remake, however, you're able to traverse anywhere you wish in the map with squiggles to discover more secrets and obtain more expansion packs. Now for the final segue, expansion packs not only act as a way to increase your health and ammunition, they will also unlock bonus content in the form of gallery images that tell a short story. I'm not going to spoil this part for you, so I'd suggest you get to work on it if you really want to know what it is. Ultimately, I feel that this game is a wonderful addition to the Metroid franchise and is an amazing reboot to a wonderful game. That's not to say that the game is without its flaws. In some cases, I felt like I was hit by an enemy cheaply simply because the camera isn't zoomed out quite far enough. The small screen of the 3DS makes it difficult to see things that are above or below you without having to stop and look. The 3DS is also a physically small system with even smaller buttons. The combat requires mastery the abilities, and the complex button layout does make it difficult to get a hold of at first, but it's far from impossible. The game overall is beautiful. If you've never played a Metroid game before, I definitely suggest this one as a series first. It has a little bit of everything from almost every Metroid, and I love it. The visuals, backgrounds, and the music all blend together beautifully. So if you don't stay for the Metroids, you should at least consider staying for the view. I'm just as happy as any fan of the Metroid franchise to see Samus back behind the wheel. It's been too long, and I missed playing a game with so much atmosphere. The game may be geared a bit more to new Metroid players, but I honestly think that it's a smart move by Nintendo, and it doesn't subtract from the overall quality. Hey guys, it's the Fizz. So this is the Metroid review, Metroid Samus Returns review. I hope it really turns out well for you guys. If you guys really liked it, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscription button and notification. That way you guys be notified whenever I upload another video. I think I'll be trying to be uploading 2 videos a week with as busy as my work schedule is, but holy hell, I've worked so hard on this one. I played Metroid non-stop when it came out. I think it took me about 3 days, because if I wasn't working, I was playing Metroid. So I think I got about 7 hours on it total at the very end. But anyway, I want to hear about your guys' discussion. If you agree or if you disagree, let me know down in the comments. I'm going to put a link down in the description to my Twitch, my Google+, and my Twitter. That way you guys can get a hold of me there. You can watch me on Twitch, or you guys can discuss with me about things. I'm always up for discussion. I love debating, I love talking about things. I want to know what you guys think. And let me know about this video. This is my very first scripted video, so all of my other videos are non-scripted, and also all of my other videos are Sonic videos. This is my first video not based on the Sonic franchise, which is something I'm going to keep going on. I'm going to go back to Sonic, but I'm also going to keep going on with other video game franchises. Probably more Nintendo based, but I'll have to see in the future. So anyway, check out my Twitch whenever I'm streaming. Talk to me there. Look at my Google Plus or Twitter. You'll get updates there. I really want to know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, share with your friends if they're thinking about Metroid, getting into it, because this game I'm definitely suggesting to new players. You know, anyone who's on the fence about joining in on the Metroid craze, give them this game. This is the game for anyone new to Metroid. I'm giving this one a solid 9 out of 10. It has a couple of problems, but I don't think those problems subtract too much from the game overall. You know, 9 out of 10, says the Fizz. So I'll see you guys next time, alright? Have a good day.